I just want Okay, thank you, everyone. Being 5 o'clock, I'm going to call this regular meeting of April 24th to order. And I'll ask everyone to rise and the city clerk to say the prayer.
O God, let us each in our own way ask your wisdom and guidance in our deliberations. Help us to incorporate into all our decisions those values which will enable us to fulfill our mission, to act as responsible stewards, and to respect and value the cultural and spiritual tradition of all citizens of the city of Prince Albert. For this we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Number 3, approval of the agenda, and there's no changes or additions to the agenda. Councillor Kilmer.
Okay, I move that the agenda for this meeting be approved as presented and that the presentations, delegations, and speakers listed on the agenda be heard when called forward by the mayor.
Why didn't it go on?
I'll second Mayor Dion.
Okay, well, how come her light didn't change either? Could you hit your button again, please? See, it went green instantly. Can,
Yeah, now hit your button. Hit the gray. Hit the gray. Yeah, then it goes.
Did it work?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Councillor Kilmer moved, Councillor Miller seconded. In favor of the agenda, I'll prompt the question. The question's now open, and it carried. Thank you. Number 2, presentations. We have none tonight. Number 5, declaration of conflict of interest. You all know what that is. If you have a conflict, please announce it and excuse yourself when the thing comes on. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. I will declare a conflict of interest on item 11.6, Carlton Park Community Club Pave the Way fundraiser update. I am a board member, and that's my declaration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to number 6, adoption of the minutes. Councillor Miller.
That the minutes of the council regular meeting held March 27, 2023, and special council meeting held March 29, 2023 be taken, read, and adopted.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Edwards.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Question's now open and carried. Thank you. Okay, proclamations, and I had quite a few since we last met. 2017-18 Humboldt Broncos Day, April 6, 2023. Green Shirt Day, April 7th. Human Values Day, April 21st. World Press Freedom Day, May 3rd. Moosehide Campaign Day, May 11th. Fibromyalgia Awareness Day, May 12th, 23. Pitch-In Week, May 8th to the 13th. GBS Awareness Month, May of 2003. Melanoma and Skin Cancer Awareness Month, May of 2023. And Jewish Heritage Month, May of 2023. Those are all the proclamations since I last reported to council. Public hearings, we have none. Delegations, we have none. Communications, we have none. So we'll start off with reports of Administrations Committee. 11.1, Development Permit Application for a drinking establishment license, restaurant, liquor board store, 3580 2nd Avenue West. Councillor Edwards.
Where are we here? Okay, good.
right there.
Now that we're back at the top, also move that the discretionary use development permit application for a drinking establishment, licensed restaurant and liquor store to be located at 3580 Second Avenue West be approved, subject to the following conditions. One, the applicant submitting final plans for review and approval by administration. Two, the applicant entering into a landscape agreement with the city. Three, the applicant applying for and receiving any necessary building permits and all necessary municipal fire and building safety inspections. Four, the development complying with the requirements of the city zoning bylaw number 1 of 2019 as amended.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Cody?
Yes, I'll second that, Your Worship.
Okay, now maybe I'll just explain, because lots of people don't understand where this location is. What is here is, this is the property that sits in front of the Holiday Inn, the old Imperial 400. They're proposing to build a strip mall further in the back and move the 3 businesses that are in the front to that new strip center, and then they're going to demolish the front. Councillor Zepp.
Thank you. Question probably for the Director of Planning. Is this a new liquor permit or an existing liquor permit?
Go ahead, Director of Public
Thank
Planning.
you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Lennox Zepp, for the question. So the liquor permit is being appointed to that site, and they'll be utilizing the same liquor permit, just relocating to the newly constructed building, as the Mayor referenced.
Right. Although the liquor store will be something new from what we currently have, or no?
The liquor store, as it currently sits, is going to be demolished, as the Mayor alluded to, and then that will
It's all
relocate
in there.
to the new building.
I see.
Yes.
All right. Right. Thank you.
Yeah, all 3 existing businesses are in the old part, will be moving. Okay, can you scroll down? No, up. Did I get a seconder? Okay, I'll prompt the question. Oh, sorry. Councillor Gilmer.
Thank you very much, Mayor. My question is for the Director of Planning and Development. I understand there is a bylaw that has a distance of so many meters between liquor stores. I noticed that this is not adhering to that. Is there something that has happened in the past, or why is that?
Go ahead, Director.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Kimmer, for the question. So essentially, the 500-meter requirement was put in place just a handful of years ago, whereas this business is a long-standing liquor permit in the city, so they're considered what's called legal non-conforming, so that they existed prior to the establishment of the new rule. So considering that site has a liquor permit already approved by the province, they are allowed to continue with that liquor permit. The new 500-meter requirement would apply if they were, say, to request a second permit, if they were to subdivide, something like that. But if the site remains as is, then they are allowed to continue to utilize it.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, I'll prompt the question. Questions now open and carried. Thank you. 11.3, ice servicing machine tenders. In short, a Zamboni. 3, yes. Councillor Gilmer.
Thank you. I would like to move that the tender number 18 of 2023 for the purchase of 3 new ice resurfacing machines be awarded to Engo Ice Arena Equipment Sales at a total cost of $550,439.01, which includes all applicable taxes, with $183,469.67 to be funded from the Fleet Equipment Reserve, and $363,584.94 from the Equipment, Fit Up, and Furniture budget for the Aquatics and Arenas Recreation Center, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute any applicable documents on behalf of the city if required.
Councilor Miller.
Yes, I will second this, Mayor Dion. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Councilor Edwards, you had a question?
I do, thank you, Mayor Dion.
Go ahead.
These are electric Zambonis, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and during the budget process, I thought we approved 2. Where did the third come from? That's from what I remember. Maybe I'm failing a little bit, but I thought we approved 2.
2, and I'm quite sure because I was quite part of the debate, it was for the new facility.
Yep, I understand. It was for the 2 new ice pads that we have currently approved. Where did the third come into play?
And where's it going?
And where will it be going? Yeah.
Who wants to take it, director or the fleet manager? Okay, just hang on, and I'll have to add podium. Grant the floor. You're up, sir.
Yes, one was approved in the capital fleet replacement reserve, and the 2 are coming, that was approved in budget, and the other 2 are for the new arena that was tendered along with our one that was originally approved in the fleet budget for
So-
2023.
Were the 2 electric Zambonis not approved in the fleet budget itself? I don't recall this other area of funding.
They weren't discussed at the time of the budget, but they went for tender the same time as the fleet one to get bulk quantity.
So which weren't discussed in budget? I'm slightly perplexed here a little bit because I don't think we talked about 3. We certainly didn't talk about 3 electric Zambonis, and are all 3 of these electric?
All 3 are electric, and the only one that I was in on budget discussions with was the one that's going to the Art Hauser Arena. The 2 new ones going to the new complex, I'm not sure where they were discussed.
Okay, city manager.
Okay, so for clarification, so in the budget, there was one discussed, that was for replacement of the Zamboni at the Art Hauser Center. So that's the one that will actually come out of Fleet Equipment Reserve. So that was discussed at budget. The other 2 are actually the ones that are going to the new Aquatic and Arenas Recreation Center. Those are coming out in 2024 out of the equipment fit up and furniture budget that was approved in the funding plan for the event center, for the Aquatic and Arenas Recreation Center. So those were included in that list for the equipment fit up and furniture.
So during the budget process, we talked about the equipment
What?
fit up and furniture?
No, that was discussed
Right.
during the funding model approval for the Aquatic and Arenas Recreation Center.
And the 2 Zambonis were in on that?
Yes.
Well, that's part of the equipment fit up and furniture.
Okay. Okay, so the cost to put the electric recharging stations into the Art Hauser, how much is that?
The charger's supplied with it, so the cost will be wiring,
Okay.
which, depending on where the junction box is for the electrical outfit at Art Hauser, could be anywhere from a few $100s up to a couple $1,000s. It's 220 plug-in, or 230 3-phase plug-in, and but the charger itself is included in the cost of the machines.
Okay, so it's minimal, that's good. Do we expect some savings from going with electric Zamboni? I know it's more green, certainly. Do we expect some savings versus propane? I think we're using propane right now.
According to the information that is supplied by all 3 suppliers, they say yes. The biggest savings is going to be on the air inside the buildings. There will be no carbon monoxide from an internal combustion engine. But there is savings not having to buy propane.
Right. Okay, thank you.
So what would be a propane cleaner compared to an electric? Is there quite a difference in price?
Yeah, it varies depending on the options you choose, but an identical machine to what this is, if it was gas powered, or I mean propane powered, would be about $40,000 to $55,000 less, depending on the make and the model
Per machine or for all three?
per machine.
Wow. Okay. Councillor Kilmer.
So my question is for the manager. Are there also, besides the health savings for employees in buildings, are there also maintenance, proposed maintenance savings as well as fuel savings costs?
Theoretically, there should be, because there's no tune-ups or calibrating of the engine every year. It'll be just ensuring that the unit's plugged in and the batteries are kept charged will be the main maintenance on it. There will be an inspection every year like we do on every machine, but probably there won't be near as much maintenance as an internal combustion engine.
Would you find that we would be perhaps similar to other places that have used the electric Zamboni, where they find that they've saved 30% cost in maintenance and 80% in fuel?
Some places have said that, and we can only try it and see for ourselves. But yeah, I do expect that there will be some savings.
Okay, thank you.
Cost of the batteries and how long before we have to replace them? Or maybe
Yes,
the opposite. How
These
long
are
do we-
lithium ions on these ones, not lead acid. So they are expected to last around 12 years minimum. They've got machines running around with lithium ion batteries in it, similar, that are 12 years old currently.
And cost to replace the batteries, because we'll have to put that in the budget.
That varies on manufacturer from 20,000 to over 40,000 to replace the batteries if you ever have to replace them.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Zepp.
Thank you. I don't know if anyone else saw the recent news articles with CBC, et cetera. There were some studies done in Saskatchewan on folks that are frequently in arenas in Saskatchewan with combustion engine Zambonis, and showing a correlation with asthma and health-related issues, as Councillor Kilmer said, for staff, but also for people who use rinks. And I thought that was timely and interesting to see how having a combustion engine machine inside a building can cause health detriments as opposed to this proposal.
Okay. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a quick question on this one item here. At the bottom of the first page, the report says the GST for the purchase of the 3 machines will be recovered. I understand that we won't be being charged for GST during some of those construction builds, and for 2 of them at least, shouldn't be charged for the GST. But what about the third? I guess I just questioning about that, if that's accurate or not, or why are we not paying GST on both of them, and why couldn't we save on the PSD on them as well? But more so about the one GST.
Yeah, because I thought we got GST back.
Yeah, we will get GST back on all 3 machines. Just the PST we end up paying. So there will be a 5% return on the total cost.
Okay, any other questions about our electric Zambonis? No? I'll prompt the question. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So I'll cut you off. Stop speaking. Go to here. Servicing. It is now open. And it passed unanimously. I have a motion coming, that's why. When you hear my motion, you'll understand, Counselor. Okay. 11.3, water main relining tender. Oh, we're all thinking about it, and Preston's giving you the eye. Oh, here we go. It's a great program. Counselor Zepp.
It is a great program. That tender number 12 of 2023 for water main relining be awarded to FurPal Construction Limited for an estimated bid price of $384,515, which includes provincial sales tax. That the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the agreement and any other necessary documents on behalf of the city, and that tender number 12 of 2023 be reviewed at the end of 2023 and possibly be extended for 1 year at a time for a maximum of 3 additional years.
Thank you. Counselor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Thank you. Counselor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a question to the director, I guess, about the process and what are these mains, or what mains will we be relining? I do read the report where some challenges, reasons why they've been selected, but I guess more so, and it does talk about a certain size of pipe, but what pipe will you be relining in this area, I guess, would be my first question.
Do you want me to arm the podium, or are you going to answer that question, or have Preston? It's up to you. Okay? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Through to Councillor Head's inquiry. So we've identified 3 water mains for potential reuse or relining with this program. All of them are, one of the water mains, basically, it's fitting just tight, close underneath the gas line. So that we selected that one just due to the difficulty of reconstruction. The other 2 that we have on our list are 8-inch lines or 200 millimeter diameters. They're in established neighborhoods, so we've selected those in order to avoid the reconstruction of the road surface, taking out of trees, etc.
Okay, no, I do see that this is the first of its kind. I see, so it's great to see that we're taking some of that initiative here in Prince Albert, and I'm hoping that it will be successful. And right away, I think of Central, our street on Central, because I know there's some infrastructure work that needs to be done there. It'd be nice to see how this will be completed and what the cost saves will be to the residents, I guess, moving forward. So thanks for that. That's the only question I have. Thanks.
I wiped the cell phone. Okay, I'm prompting the question. Questions now open. And carried. Thank you. 11.4, 2023 Capital Paving and Utility Infrastructure Replacement Program. Councillor Zepp.
That the report be received as information and filed, and that administration provide annually to the executive committee meeting following April 15th a report on the intended work plan for the capital paving and utility infrastructure replacement program for the construction season.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Zepp.
Yeah, just a comment. So in this report, it's mentioned the water main work and lead servicing replacement on 20th Street East between First Avenue and Third Avenue. And I did door knock that section, and of course not everybody was home, but I have heard that residents are appreciating the work that's going to be done. They know that it will inconvenience them for some time, and but they appreciate having some notice from the department that will be coming up soon. And just confirming that my understanding from speaking to administration is that the residences that we know have lead pipes going into their home, that they will receive notification ahead of time advising that we know you have lead pipes leading into your property and that we will be taking those out, and that they have an opportunity, they could pay a contractor to take their lead side out at the same time. I guess my question is, do we know about when we might be able to advise residents of that? They were asking about that.
Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor Dion, through to Councilor Lennox-Epps' question, about the first week of May that we would start pushing out notices to give residents some warning of what's going on.
And the residents that we know have lead pipes, they'll get a specific information about that, their lead?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was something that was asked, is they don't know, when I went door to door, they don't know if if the city side is lead or not, or if their side is lead, and they'd like to have that opportunity. So that is positive. I'm hoping to hear more from other residents that I haven't spoken to yet. And, the report does say some trees will need to be removed, more than 3 trees. As per our policy, we do give notice of that now. My understanding from the department is about 12 trees will have to come down, that we replace 2 trees for every one that comes down. So residents want to know about that too.
Okay, thank you. And also, I just want to confirm that we're on schedule. We told the residents of Riverside Drive that they would be the first paving program that we do this year, and that's where we received 350-some thousand from the Department of Highways to pay their share, and that comes from, and that's going to be paved right from the boundary of the RM of Buckland, where they've stopped, all the way into the bridge. So is that still our plan, and are we on schedule to do that road first? And if not, when can we tell the residents it will be done?
Thank you, Mayor Dion, for the question. The plan for Riverside Drive is that we're going to, because the majority of it doesn't have curbs along the side of it, we want to make sure that the roadway structure is sound and dry, like it has, that all the spring frost has left and that it's dry, so that when we are rebuilding the road, we won't be breaking through. As soon as we're confident that the structure is sound, then we will be doing the replacement, estimating for it to happen in the end of June.
Okay, so I'll just tell them the end of
It
June.
won't be the first project, but it will be early in the program.
June of 23, end of June. Thank you. Councillor Kilmer?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to commend the report writer for the section involving communication plan. I really appreciated the detail that the communication plan included, which included talking with Councillor Lennox-Epps ahead of this meeting to discuss the trees, brought together the plans that we've established over the past 2 or 3 years, and have set them out accordingly. And so that really did help me as a councillor to be able to talk to the residents in my area. And I also appreciate Ward 7, seeing some of the roads completed in Ward 7. So thank you.
Back to Councillor Zepp.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question, if I could, because we're talking about Riverside Drive and that paving work being done. Residents in Hazeldale have been asking about curbs, especially in the more populated areas before the S-curve. From administration standpoint, are we intending to install curbs?
Who wants to say no? Okay, podium's on.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Lennox-Epps. The intent with this capital project is not to have any curb installation. It's just to repave the existing roadway as it currently stands.
I guess I appreciate the answer, and as a comment, we hear from Hazeldale, especially that the populated section of Riverside Drive with many houses in a row, that residents do indicate that it is a problem, and that we're getting in new asphalt, we're not installing curbs the way that we do have on the south side of the river, and I wanted to make that known.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments? Okay, let me. Back to me. Okay, I'll prompt the question. Capital paving program is now open. And carried. Thank you. 11.5, city bike auction and Ukrainian newcomers. Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that up to 50 recovered and unclaimed bicycles be donated to Ukrainian Canadian Congress settlement worker Sonia Jan to be distributed to Ukrainian newcomer families in Prince Albert.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Miller?
I'll second Mayor Dion.
Thank you. Councillor Zepp?
Thank you. I appreciate that this is being proposed, and I support it. I'm also hearing in the community that there are other organizations that have other residents that could really benefit from bicycles for all the same reasons, to get to work, to get to school, to have kids, to be able to get to parks and play. And so I'm hoping that we're open in the future to future requests from other organizations that have seen this and want to also to benefit as well. And that benefits our whole city, just like this motion does.
Okay, but it's important that the administration, when these bikes are picked up, that they get a copy of the new bylaw, because some of these bikes will have to have bells put on them, lights, and repairs. You know, some of them are still useful, but they don't have all the necessary equipment to comply with the bylaw. And that's going to be important because we don't want them to get stopped and ticketed for not having legal operation of bikes on our street. Councillor Bodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I agree, and I think that Sonia Jan has a proven record that she'll make sure that everything is safe and sound, and that her committee that will pick up the bikes and store the bikes to be then distributed will happen. Just in reaction to Council Lennox, I would encourage other groups to come petition as well, the city, and put together a plan, a need, and why we should do it, and then we'll consider it just like we considered this presentation by Sonia Jan. Thank you.
Councillor Edwards.
Thanks, Mayor Dion, and along your point, I hope that we're also going to have them registered with our newly formed bike registry. And here's a reminder for all the public to register your bike, although I don't know whether the process is totally in place yet, but we're sure hoping that it's ready and rocking. Thank you.
Councillor Lennox.
Thought maybe I would share that at our recent SUMA convention, I attended a tour of the Saskatoon waste management facility, their landfill. And highlight of the tour was learning that they actually have a program that removes bicycles that are seen going into the landfill and puts them aside if they look usable, if they look repairable. And that there is a bicycle repair co-op group of citizens who then come to their landfill, do repairs as needed, and have those bikes up and available to run again, and then they donate them to programs like this. And I thought this was probably the right agenda item to mention that opportunity, and maybe that's something that our city could look into.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on bikes? Okay, let me prompt the question. Questions now open. Motion carries. Councillor Edwards, do you want to excuse yourself? You're welcome. Yeah. So is the chair. 11.6, Carleton Community Club Pave the Way fundraising update. Oh, sorry, I was reading all the good news. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. It is great news. I'm going to move that the Carleton Park Community Club be authorized to continue to formalize a 5-year term sponsorship agreements with the following sponsors as part of their Pave the Way fundraiser. 1, Caribou Transport, a sign for $1,000, a 32 by 48 inch sign for $1,000. Westview Steering, number 2 and brake, 32 by 48 sign for $1,000. TC Electric, a 32 by 48 inch sign for $1,000. Napa, sign for $1,000. And Lake Country Co-op, a 48 by 96 inch sign for $2,000.
Thank you. Councillor Brodnick?
Thank you. I'll second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, I'll prompt the question. Question's now open and carried. He's coming back in. So is the speaker on? Yep. Oh, I didn't know the speaker was on. I was being nice. Okay, 11.7, multimedia technical service agreement. Councillor Cody.
Yeah, I guess it's my turn. I move that a technical services agreement between the city and Big Drum Media for multimedia services at civic facilities be approved for a 2-year term from May 1st, 2023 to April 30th, 2025, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Question's now open and carried. $11.8 live barn agreement, city arenas. Councillor Edwards.
Also move that a venue agreement between the city and Live Barn Incorporated for live streaming services at city arenas be approved for a 4-year term, commencing the date of execution, and 2, the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Seconder.
I'll second that.
Councillor Cody. Terry, you troublemaker. Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you. I just have a question about, in the report about the access restriction where it talks about blackout. That's my concern is that, I think it's a great idea. However, I've had a few people mention to me that they would be concerned that Live Barn would have 24/7 access to all of our arenas. Is that the case, or does that restriction mean that we can black it out and we can block access?
Director of Community Services.
Thank you, Mayor Dion, to Councillor Grodnick's inquiry. So correct, the blackout or the restriction of the viewing is controlled by the city's office. Okay. So that would happen right out of our arenas management area, and would also apply to areas that either have another service in place, such as the Western Hockey League that runs through the Canadian Hockey League app, or for events that want some sort of specialty service where not just live streaming is involved, but a full production. So that would be controlled through the office and wouldn't be a 24/7 access to the building.
Okay, but live stream will be in the Art Hauser, right?
Live stream will be in the Art
For
Hauser.
minor hockey, et cetera.
That's correct.
So, yeah, because the concern I had expressed to me is for example, practices, especially come playoff time, that people actually can watch at in Saskatoon, Merlis
Belcher?
Yeah, that people are watching practices going on in there and getting tips of running their own practices. And I've had a couple of people say to me that that's one concern of theirs, and then just privacy of some events. So I'm glad that we will have access to black it out and to turn it off so that live stream cannot take place at certain events.
That's correct.
If the, like when we rent to Grad, I could imagine Grads probably wouldn't want live stream.
That would be a good example.
Yeah,
There-
live barn or whatever.
That'd be restricted.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I read it right then.
Counselor Edwards.
Thank you. I am going to vote in favor of this. This is long overdue for our city. Many other communities have this, and it's exciting for grandparents or those that can't get to the games to watch minor hockey or whatever else is going on in the arena. So it's great to have.
Thank you. I'm going to prompt the question. Question's now open. And carried. Thank you. Prince Albert Pulp Sponsorship Agreement. Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move that the Alfred Jenkins Fieldhouse sponsorship agreement between the city and Prince Albert Pulp Incorporated in the amount of $3,000 per year for 3 years from May 1st, 2023 to April 30th, 2026 be approved, and that Lakeland Ford Park sponsorship agreement between the city and Prince Albert Pulp Incorporated in the amount of $3,000 per year for 3 years from May 1st, 2023 to April 30th, 2026 be approved, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the agreements on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Seconder. Councilor Edwards.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. And carried. 1110, Cook Municipal Golf Course Improvements. Councilor Edwards.
Also move that the 2023 Golf Course Pathway Improvement Plan be approved.
Thank you. Seconder. Councilor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll second the motion.
Thank you. I don't see anyone in the queue, so I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. And carried. (1111) Prince Albert Golf and Curling Center donation receipt approved. Rock the House donation campaign. Councilor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to go ahead and move that the administration be authorized to issue tax-deductible donation receipts to contributors of the Prince Albert Golf and Curling Center's Rock the House donation campaign. 2, that the amount of the donation receipt be reduced by any portion that may be deemed a benefit to the contributor as determined by administration. And 3, that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute any contracts or documents on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Seconder. Councilor Edwards.
Seconded. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a point of clarification. I don't quite understand, and maybe the Director of Community Services might be able to help me. Point 2, the amount of the donation receipt be reduced by any portion that may be deemed a benefit to the contributor as determined by administration. I'm not quite sure of an example of what that would be.
That's finance.
Oh, sorry, finance.
Because I think you're only allowed a percentage. Go ahead, Director of Finance.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor, for the question. So what that means is if we had a company that wanted to advertise on the Rock, then their whole donation would not be considered, we would not give them a donation receipt for the entire amount because they would be profiting from the advertisement.
Okay, so we're looking at individual names.
So if it was
For 100%.
individuals, then they would get 100% of the donation.
Thank you very much for that clarification.
Okay. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. And carried. Thank you. 11.12, Property Maintenance Bylaw Amendment, Bylaw number 13th of 23. Councillor Kilmer?
Thank you. I'll move that the bylaw number 13 of 2023 be introduced and given 3 readings.
Thank you. Councillor Head?
Thank you, Worship. I'll second that.
Thank you. City Clerk? Oh, wait, I got to prompt the question. I was looking at Councillor Head, so he'd look at me and not shut his light off. Okay, the question's now open. Thank you. Motion carries. City Clerk?
Mayor Dion, we have bylaw number 13 of 2023 to amend the property maintenance bylaw to clarify the definition of inspector to include the current city officers responsible for enforcement. This bylaw is for 3 readings today.
Thank you. Councillor Kilmer?
Thank you. I'll move that the bylaw number 13 of 2023 be introduced and read a first time.
Councillor Head?
I'll second that.
Thank you. And no one is in the queue, so I'll prompt the question. Question is now open and carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillor Kilmer?
Thank you. I move that bylaw number 13 of 2023 be read a second time.
Councillor Head?
Thank you, Worship. I'll second that, Joe.
Thank you. Prompt the question. Questions now open and carried. Councillor Kilmer?
I move that leave be granted to read bylaw number 13 of 2023 a third time.
Councillor Head?
I'll second that, yes.
Thank you. Now open. Leave is granted. Councillor Kilmer?
I move that bylaw number 13 of 2023 be read a third time and passed, and that bylaw number 13 of 2023 be now adopted, sealed, and signed by the mayor and city clerk.
Councillor Head?
Thank you, Worship. I'll second that.
Thank you. Questions now open and carried. Thank you. 1113, Residential Concept Plan, 2101 Fifth Avenue West. Councillor Zepp?
So I'm going to remove number 1 at this time. And my motion is now our numbers 2 and 3 that administration be authorized to hold a public meeting prior to June 30th, 2023 to present a residential concept plan, and that feedback from the public meeting be presented for consideration at an upcoming executive committee meeting.
Okay, speedy little hand, remove number 1. Could you put it up there so we can read what it was going to be? Seconder?
It was the pre-approval of the map.
You don't even know what you're voting for. Councillor Miller,
Can we have a discussion?
once I have to get a first and a
Okay.
seconder.
Well, I'll second for discussion.
Okay, that the rental concept submitted by Miller Contractor, okay. There's all the product concept plan. Okay, so my question is to the mover, then what concept plan is the department supposed to submit if you just wipe the concept plan out?
So my motion says that they can present a residential concept plan. So any residential concept plan that administration wants to recommend, which presumably is what we have in our package, they can present what they're recommending. The issue is, should we be pre-approving something before the public sees it? It's making the public, it appears to the public like we are agreeing to something before we've met with them in June. And it's inappropriate, it's unnecessary. We can meet with them here, they can view all the same materials on the board at the meeting, but it is an apprehension of bias. It is showing us to have pre-approved that we agree, we voted. This is what is approved. This is the residential concept plan approved by council. And it's not right for residents to hear that we've already said yes to this and now we'll hear your feedback. It makes it look to them like we don't care for their feedback.
Okay, that's an opinion. Subject to public consultation, so it isn't that we're giving it a rubber stamp, but, all right,
Sure, it
Director.
doesn't look right to the public.
My public looks all right, but different public, I guess. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I feel it's pertinent to share with City Council, just as recently in the last week, prior or post this information becoming on the city public agenda, I've actually been contacted by the developer, Miller Construction, and they've actually respectfully requested that this item be referred back to administration, considering the cost of housing, considering the new mortgage rules, interest rates, et cetera, they don't feel that this concept plan hits the mark of what it once did a couple of years ago. So what they've asked is that they put together an alternate proposal, comes back to city administration, and essentially we start the process over again with presenting something to city council, which would then go to the public for public consultation. And I hear Councillor Lennox's point in regards to section 1, and I'll make it exactly a little bit more clear what our intentions are there. So I just wanted that information in front of council this evening for consideration.
Okay, so I need a motion to return it back to the department.
Well, I guess I have a question. A question for the director is, so we've told the public, we've made it public already that we are having a meeting, I'm not worried about this exact concept plan because they're not pleased with it, but we've told the public we are hosting a public meeting with them before June 30th. That was at executive committee, the public know that. Even with this new information that this is the first time we're hearing that, are we still following through on what we committed to, which I think we should be, because the public are expecting it now, that we will be having that public meeting before June 30th?
Before the director answers, a point of order on my part. That was number 1. That's what we agreed to the public meeting for.
No, number 2, if you look at number 2, hold a public meeting prior
On
to
the
June 30th.
concept plan that's there. Now, he's withdrawn that concept plan, so there is no plan. So I'm quite sure the public meeting's gonna have to be delayed till he submits a new public plan, and we go through the process all again.
But don't we want to hear feedback from the public?
On what? We have to have a plan.
We could, well, that's one way to do it, is that we can bring options of what, and maybe the director has an answer on that, but We can bring options, or
Director.
we can hear from the public.
Director.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Lennox, for your comments. My understanding is that my takeaway from the last meeting is that the public meeting, moving ahead with the public meeting, wouldn't be formalized until this evening. However, I understand there have been some comments and some feedback from the neighborhood, which, you know, we always like to hear. Any notification that we have provided will make sure that the public is well aware that that public meeting would not be happening. Remembering, keeping in mind that this is as a result of an expression of interest and a concept plan delivered to us from Miller Contracting, and we're solely relying on what they have put together. Once we present a new concept plan to City Council, and if City Council wishes for us to come up with some alternative designs, I'd be happy to provide that to City Council and the public. However, my ask would be that we would not hold a public meeting, but we certainly keep the public informed if those may be expecting a public meeting to happen, so that they're not sitting on the edge of their seat waiting. So, excuse me, so we'd make sure we communicate that with them.
And do we have a timeline? An estimated timeline as to when we would have the new proposal?
I don't want to commit Miller to a timeline. They have provided me with correspondence that they want to look at alternative options, and they're happy to, they understand that they probably won't make June for a public meeting, so I wouldn't expect to happen this summer or prior to the fall. That would be more realistic.
And so I appreciate that. I think those are my questions. The issue from the public is green space that we're proposing, and it was right in our expression of interest that we put out to have, it was
Yes.
0.3 to 0.5. Yeah, for a section, what it's showing right now is a small strip of property for green space. So the issue is, right now, the community has this large patch of green space, which is not serviced, but it is green space that people use. They walk their dogs, they take their children there, they use it. And we, in our expression of interest that we put out to the world to hear from developers, we proposed a small area of green space, as you can see on that map, and the public want more green space. So that's the concern. They don't have a park in their area. We are removing, there's a loss of green space in our own proposal for expression of interest. And that is a huge issue. And whenever we have the meeting, the public are going to attend that meeting and say, hey, remember back in 2019 when we showed up at a public meeting at Arthur Peachy School and we said we want a playground and we want green space, and the mayor was there, I was there.
And they
Councillor-
didn't say all of it.
Not all of it,
We
but-
explained to them, there's 3 pieces at the end, and I was there and took very good notes, that there was 3 pieces at the end, and we assured them that they would get those pieces back. Not the whole park like you're suggesting.
I don't know if it would be the whole park, but certainly what we've put out, as a city, we put out as an expression of interest, a very small piece of green space as opposed to what the public are expecting.
Okay. Councillor Bodnick. Can you kill your light, please? Councillor Bodnick.
Thank you. Just hearing what the director said, like we need to just rescind the motion and just say refer this whole idea back to the department so that we can get
Yes.
some ideas down. I'm not sure, I didn't attend that public meeting, so I'm not sure what was all said or not said. But I don't think it's wise for us to say that the public wants this. I think there's certain people in the public that wants this,
Thank
but
you.
I don't know if that whole community wants this. And that's why I think we need to slow down here, and as the director said, wait till a proposal comes forward and then have a discussion on that proposal. Like, I did not like this current proposal for some of the reasons that Councillor Lennox mentioned. It's not green space. There's no green space. And we did hear that we do want green space or a little playground or a little park or whatever.
Yes.
We heard that. And that's what, I'm not sure exactly how much of it though. So to me, that's not green space, that strip that was proposed in that. I didn't like that. Plus, I don't want to see us develop cul-de-sacs until we know how to clean them in winter effectively. How we clean streets. We clean streets great. Cul-de-sacs, we don't do such a great job, I don't think. So I hope that the new plan doesn't include a cul-de-sac, but if it does, then we'll have that debate and we'll have that discussion. So I think this motion should, I'd ask the mover and seconder just to take their names off and remake a motion to refer it right back to the department until we get a plan in place, because the current plan is not there.
No, the other option is we can just defeat the motion and then we'll make a new one.
But if we defeat it, can the director,
Then we make a new motion
Well, we'll
that
make
send
a-
it back to the director.
or just have the mover and seconder amend their motion to say, send it back to the department?
Councillor Zepp.
I withdraw this motion, and I have a motion here for council. I think I can withdraw without,
Yeah, she can withdraw and then I'll ask the
I
second.
can't amend without my seconder, but I think I can withdraw. So I move that the city reissue an expression of interest to include larger area of green space.
Well, I don't think you can say reissue because we are negotiating with one contractor now. Reissue means that we're going to open it to the public again and take bids. And I don't think that's right, considering that we had a process and this gentleman's already removed it, knowing that the green space is acceptable and coming up with a new plan.
I would be open to, I guess I need a seconder, but I would be open to other options to, but we as a
Well,
city,
No, I'm just going to rule you now out of order because we'd already approved the expression of interest and we can't change that bylaw. That we're moving ahead with the motion that we had. So you can refer it back to it, but you can't change the initial motion, which was to have the plan come forward for our approval.
procedural question, because I
Okay.
don't know the answer to this, but when an expression of interest has gone out and we've received a work product and now the contractor is rescinding the work product, would the correct procedure be to cancel an expression of interest and reissue with larger green space?
Go ahead, Director.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Lennox. Zepp. I'm not the expert on expressions of interest, but this has been a long, ongoing, process. So the expression of interest that we issued a number of years ago was for the public, members of the public or members of, a design firm to share with us their grand vision for the property, not to narrow in on what the design looks like. So we liked the vision that Miller Contracted presented us with. So we then went back to Miller Contracting and said, we like what we're hearing from you. Can you give us now a design option? So that design option is what was approved in principle at the last council meeting. So what I'm hearing is that you would like us to go back to Miller and come up with an alternate design option. So I don't think we need to reissue or redo the expression of interest because that would, set us back, that's a long process. But rather renegotiate or rediscuss with Miller Contracting some additional options. So I think that would achieve kind of the points that you're making without having to restart the expression of interest process.
I appreciate that. That is exactly it. So my motion, now that I understand that, my motion would read that this matter be
Referred back to
referred back to the department, for the department to seek larger green space.
Just resend it back without your opinion of green. Just send it back. You're trying to push your point about the green space.
But doesn't everyone want that? Did anyone
But
in the
that's what
2019
we
meeting
asked for in the expression of
say anything
interest.
other than that?
That's
No.
what the expression of interest says.
No,
Do we have a seconder? Oh,
Yeah.
sure. Councillor Miller.
So I want the public to know that the expression of interest that we, the city, that the city administration put out, it specifies a certain amount of green space. It gives a range of a certain amount of green space. And that was never debated or voted on at council. That's something within the expression of interest through administration that has been put forward. And we know that we heard at the 2019 meeting that it was a packed room and everyone stood up and said they wanted green space and a playground. So
Playground,
the concern
yes.
is, sure, playground, yes. So the concern is, I guess the question for the director is, if this motion passes the way it's worded, then will we hear options that have any larger green space than what this plan that we've seen has?
Maybe not.
But we direct.
Order, order, just defeat her motion, then we'll get someone to make the correct one. She's not
referred.
prepared, she's stuck on the green space.
Well, I'm quite prepared. I'm the one who has gone, an increased to green space.
Okay, what does that mean? I
Anything
don't,
larger than the current expression of interest.
that doesn't help. Okay, order. Well, okay. Are you done?
I'm not. So I have been door knocking in this area and residents are displeased because you can imagine any neighborhood, you currently have a very large green space. And I think people are reasonable. They understand that there might be some development. But to see that we sent out an expression of interest with a very small, asking for a small portion of that lot to be green space, where the expectation from the public is a lot larger than that, that is a
But
concern.
I'd like you to check your notes. I don't know where you get that, at that meeting, they wanted a large, they wanted 3 pieces of equipment. I took very detailed notes, the director did. You want that whole field to be green space. And that's different than what we have. We have a partner in there that says we're gonna build houses and they're gonna get a percentage of the money. So I don't know what you're asking for. You send this back, they'll send us a new plan. If we like the bigger green space that they gave us with the 3 pieces of equipment, we approve it. If we don't, we reject it.
Right, with feedback from the public, sure.
After we have a plan, yes.
Is it concerning at all? I guess the question to the mayor, is it concerning at all that what we've sent out?
It's a concern that you want to have a public meeting with a neighborhood to get them all riled up when we don't have a plan that's going to show us what the green space is. I'm baffled.
Well, just that we need more than what we're currently proposing.
Okay.
So I am
Councillor Kilmer.
concluded. And I am taking out, based on what I've heard, no, I'll leave the motion.
Go ahead, Councillor Gilmer.
Thank you very much. I would suggest, first, I would like to ask a question of the
Director.
Director. In the original proposal, I think we talked about it in 2021. What was the green space that we had, what was the range? Could you remind me?
Thank you for the question. You're correct. There was a range. I'd have to confirm for sure. But I believe in that expression of interest, it referenced a minimum of half an acre, I believe.
Okay. And so we considered it then at that executive and passed that. So my thought is just removing the idea of the green space, let them consider what we had considered as part of the expression of interest, which is half an acre.
Can I ask a point of, I guess it's a point of order.
All right, this is the last, because we have other people that want to speak and you're,
Yeah, just a question from the director. Did that expression of interest come to, oh my God, sorry, I meant to say a point of information on what Councillor Kilmer stated.
go ahead.
Question for the director. Did council vote on that expression of interest as,
Yes.
thank you. Sorry, was it, and can I ask what, I expect that was an in-camera meeting then?
No, it wasn't. Go ahead, Director.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I can't speak to whether it was discussed at an in-camera meeting. I'd have to, at my upcoming, if there's an upcoming report, I'll certainly provide you with a history of exactly which meetings that went to.
And does city manager know?
Yeah, there was a report on the April 19th, 2021 Executive Committee agenda, public agenda, that considered the exact expression of interest that was posted.
I appreciate that, thank you.
So we weren't hiding it. Okay, Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, and I agree with Councillor Kilmer here, and Council Lennox-Up, let's just send it back to the department for a review and report without attaching any restrictions, because I don't know what increase means. Are we increasing it to half of that entire thing, or what do we mean? If it met
she
the
wants the whole
requirement,
thing.
it was an odd shape of green space. I totally agree with you. I did not like that proposal, and I was not in favor of that particular proposal because of the green space being this long strip. To me, that made no sense. It's not a green space, it's just a strip of land that's not being used. And so I think we send it back to the department. They're gonna work with Miller contract. They're gonna come up with a great plan, hopefully, and that will include a playground or whatever. And if that happens, we will have a debate on something concrete. Right now, we're debating on nothing that exists. We don't know what exists, and that's what we're debating on. It seems silly that we're spending this time debating this because we don't have a plan. So we have to send it back for that plan, and they'll come up with a plan, and that's when we could have a good debate whether we agree or disagree with that new plan. And so therefore, I'm going to vote against the motion how it sits right now, unless you amend it to get rid of that and just say for review and report, period.
I'm going back, only if she's going to change her motion, otherwise we had enough discussion. Okay, then I'm going to call the question. So I'm calling the question as you see that's on the screen. To green space. Motion's now open. And the motion is defeated 6-2. So if I could get someone else to make an motion to send it back to administration, please. Councillor Brodnick?
Make a motion that this property at 2101 Fifth Avenue West be referred back to the department for review and report.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Kilmer? Thank you. Oop. I got it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, do you have to make a new one or do? Okay. Oh, right here? So this one? After adjournment, there's leave granted and there's some motion. This one? Okay, thank you. Motion's now open. And it carries. $11.14, first-time home buyer. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll move that the first-time home buyer program application submitted by Tracy Warden be approved for funding up to $5,000 from the Housing Reserve.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll second that. And just a quick comment, if I can.
Go ahead, sir.
Really happy to see this in our agenda items. Happy to see that the residents are utilizing the programs that we have put in place, and congratulations to Tracy for their new home.
Thank you very much. I'll prompt the question. First-time home buyer. Okay, the question's now open. And carried. 11.15, Signature Development Phase 4 subdivision. More land being sold. Councillor Cody.
Yes, Your Worship, I move that the proposed subdivision of subject lands legally described as Block C, Plan Number 102375446, be approved subject to A, the review and approval of the final plan of survey by administration, and 2, that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the plan of survey and any other applicable documents on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Edwards?
Second, your worship.
Thank you.
I do have some comments.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, your worship. So we had bought some land in this area, in the yard area, a couple of years ago. Could you remind me what we paid per acre?
About 385.
Does someone know what we paid per acre? Approximately?
Director of Planning.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Edwards, for the question. It was close, Mayor. I think we were in the neighborhood of 365.
365.
365, that's
and
it.
Do we know what the current value of those
Six-
properties are going per
625.
acre?
625,
625 an acre?
yes.
Thank you for the clarity.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. And carried. 11.16, appointment to the Board of Police Commissioners. Motion. Councillor Edwards.
I'll move the recommendation that Mario Pritchard be appointed as a member at large on the Board of Police Commissioners, effective immediately following execution of the board's oath of confidentiality for the term ending December 31st, 2023.
Correct. He's just filling in a short term. Seconder, Councillor Miller.
I'll second Mayor Dion.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards, you have your light on.
I do. I would like to speak to the motion.
Go ahead.
If I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
I certainly, I'm okay with this recommendation, having Mario directly linked to the provincial government. I think that this is going to, you know, show some of the difficulties that, you know, the commission or the police association are going through, and there'll be some clarity, and I think it's a good thing. I think this is going to help. I also want to comment that there's Darcy Sander, his name is mentioned in this report of resigning. And I want to take a moment to thank Darcy very much for his time as chair of the Board of Police Commissioners. Darcy was an extremely fair chair who listened to the association's needs and desires, also kept the board in check. He was a person that dedicated his time looking at the governance model, taking additional courses to make sure everything was run properly. And he resigned from the board. He wasn't asked by anybody to resign from the board. He was asked. He was not asked to resign. It was a personal decision of Darcy's to you know, not go further with the challenges that were there, right? I mean, over his tenure, there was some turmoil. Certainly, he took at face value and did very well for both the Board of Police Commissioner and the association. And it's a great loss to the city. I certainly wish him well, but I do know he cared about public safety in the city immensely. Certainly, he's been on board with bail reform, trying to help that, which would hopefully at some point calm the arrests in the city of Prince Alberta and overall Canada. He took on that initiative and worked hard and was passionate about it. And I really appreciate that. He was also, and he's still with our other group, Crime Focus Group, and he was instrumental on some of the discussions in the Crime Focus Group, and I really appreciated that. Why? Because he cared about public safety. And I certainly thank Darcy for his time on there. And I welcome, for a period of 8 months, Mario Pritchard coming on board. Look forward to hearing what he says. Thank you.
Councillor Cody.
Yes, Your Worship. I certainly don't know personally Marlo. I know I've heard him on the phone during COVID times 10 or 15 times. That's for sure. I have no axe to grind with him personally because I don't know him. The axe to grind I have a little bit is with the government of Saskatchewan. I just think that any time government interferes in the workings of a city and or another jurisdiction is wrong. I know that the provincial government's very upset at times when the federal government does things that they think is their jurisdiction. And I think this is our jurisdiction. And now, I'm not suggesting for a moment that they foisted this person on us, but I'm sure they suggested this person to us. So I think there's a little bit of a little rub for me here. I'm going to vote for the person. I'm going to vote for this appointment. But it's a bit of a rub for me because I think we should keep our jurisdictions as separate as we can. Either that or else then the province should say, well, folks, you know what? You're pretty good at governing. Why don't you just go and deal directly with the federal government, which I wish we could do at times, and at times not. But, you know, I think we need to clarify our jurisdictions. And in this particular case, I'm not just that enamored with the fact that we have, and let's face it, policing is a big issue in our country, in our province, and certainly in our city. There's turmoil there, we know that. There's all measure of problems, and we've heard about them. I don't know them specifically because I'm not there, but it just seems to me it's the wrong kind of thing to do for governments to say, or one government to say to another government, this is what we want you to do. We're sending a person in to tell you guys how to run your business. That's a little tough for me to handle, but at the same time, I will vote for the position just because I think we need someone there, and I don't know if this person's going to be a board member only at large, or the chair, or the vice chair, or
Only a
whatever the
board
case
member.
may be. But whatever it is, that's not my business.
Only a board
That is
member
the
at
business of the police commission.
Councillor Edwards.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Dion. And some of the concerns are valid for Councillor Cody. And the good part of this motion is it's strictly just a board member.
Yes.
And it's a temporary position. This will expire December 31st, 2023. So which is why I did move the recommendation. Certainly that it should end at that point. I have no issues with that. Also, I think that we have to remember it's one vote on a board. Just one
7,
vote.
yeah.
So that's important to keep in mind. Thank you.
And why it's only till December 23rd, I'll explain this. He is replacing Darcy Sanders' term. And I want to confirm something because I've already heard rumors out there. We're the worst community for rumors, okay? Darcy has some issues, and he chose the right direction to go and deal with his personal issues, and he's going to move on with life, and I appraise him for that because he did some great things for the commission. So to anyone to suggest it's anything else from that, a shame on you. You know, because this is a gentleman that's a good gentleman. He contributed to our community, and he did make the commission better. And the reason I'm excited about this position is we have to fine-tune our governance model, and this gentleman can certainly help us with it. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you very much. I have two concerns or thoughts, wonderings. I respectfully heard Councillor Cody talk about that the recommendation came from outside. And
No, that did not happen.
Okay,
That
okay.
recommendation clearly comes from my office.
Okay, thank you very much. I just wanted to make clear that because I didn't read that in any of the.
Yeah, no, that's not true.
And then, thank you very much. I was just trying to process that, and I appreciate that. And then secondly, the process. Overarching this, and I recognize that we have no control over the media, but I did see that this came out in the media prior, an announcement that this is in place, prior to it coming through. So I would just, for us to vote, And I would just like to caution us in the future that I would appreciate things to come to council before I'm not quite sure what happened there.
Okay.
But I just,
I can explain that.
Thank you.
Our agenda goes out Thursday at 4 o'clock. That's where they got it
is
from.
that when it came out?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And then the media can read into whatever they
Gotcha.
want.
I
And
didn't know
as you
that-
know, the media doesn't report the news anymore. They make it. So that's part of our issue, that we're going to be more conscious of that in the future, and maybe issue a press release in advance of that and warn council that it's coming, because it comes out when the agenda does Thursday at 4 o'clock.
Thank you, that makes perfect sense. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm going to prompt the question. Questions now open. And it carried. Thank you. Number 12, unfinished business, Madam Clerk? We have none. Number 13, mayors and councilors forum. And so maybe I'll start off. As you can see, I'm wearing this beautiful Northern Bears sweater. They are playing at their Art Hauser Center, actually in 35 minutes. And they're playing in the Canadian Under-18 Female Championships. And so we have all these teams here. They did play last night. They lost the squeaker 4-3, but it's certainly exciting hockey. So if people want to attend, it's on all week. It starts at 12, and the last game ends at 7. So there's lots of hockey to be seen, and I want to thank the organizers. Today, the whole one side of the rink was full of students. And I also want to congratulate and thank, I don't know who came up with this idea, so I want to congratulate the fire department and the police department, because last night we had recruiting statements set up to try to attract more females into our professions. So I congratulate both the fire and police for having those there, because in today's world, it's a challenge to get recruits of any nature. You know, it's just, we seem to have lost our workforce somewhere. So I just want to congratulate you. It looked really good. I heard lots of positives from the public being there, out recruiting, because it shows that we're just not walking the talk, we're actually running. You know, we're out there and we're going to hire as many as we can that are qualified, and that we're even going to places where they are. So thank you to whoever came up with that plan, because I thought that was a great opportunity too. Okay, we'll start the list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's Councillor Zepp, Councillor Miller, Councillor Cody, Councillor Kilmer, Councillor Broadnick, Councillor Edwards. Oh, is there anyone left? You didn't do anything? You could say that I was the TV star. Okay, well, let's start with Councillor Zepp.
Thank you. And yes, a big thank you to the SO Cup. It's great, and there are young women and girls and kids of all ages around our community right now saying that there are teams of girl and young women hockey players in our city, and even the referees are female. And
Thank you for bringing
so
that up. Yes.
it's something to be proud of. So I wanted to mention that our community cleanup and pitch-in week is coming up May 8th to 13th in Prince Albert, and the city is offering 3 different locations across the city where you can bring your waste of different types for no charge, and we just want our citizens to be encouraged to clean up and have that spring clean. I wanted to really thank Councillor Miller for her efforts in leadership and leading this charge. Councillor Miller has put on and organized this event for 10 plus years. And I really appreciate, and it benefits citizens in all wards, and I wanted to just express my thanks for that leadership. So now, 3 areas I want to advise to the public. So you can go to the Kinsman Arena parking lot, you can go to Crescent Heights Rink, or you can go to Parkland Hall. And the items that are accepted are leaves and grass, household garbage, metals, electronics, recyclables, and your appliances, but do not bring tires and do not bring hazardous waste. Those are not accepted. Also, we are seeking volunteers in our community who would like to go around and do picking litter maybe in their neighborhoods, encourage other people to clean up their neighborhoods as well. So May 8th to 13th is a really great week. Thank you.
Welcome. And I just want to clarify something, because I want to make sure I answered it right. somebody asked me if we could say, bring paint, and I said, no. That's considered a hazardous waste, and we have a paint collection day. Okay, good, I was right on that. Okay, Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. I was honored to go to the Samuel Cloud Business Awards for the first time since I've been elected. It was the first time for everything, right?
Absolutely.
And I'd like to thank the Chamber for putting this on for 32 years, approximately, about there. And I'd like to also congratulate all the businesses that were nominated.
Yes.
And the Business of the Year to Willow Grove Pharmacy, Amy Lamb, for the second year in a row. And it was a really nice night out. And I sat with Scotiabank and great crew there too. Thank you very much.
Did you get a good interest rate? Get a good interest rate. Okay, Councillor Cody.
Yes, Your Worship. I have two things. I also went to the Samuel McCow's Awards, which were good, very good. A lot of businesses and a lot of pomp and ceremony. It was a great event, and our councillor spoke there, so that was just great. Also today, I had the opportunity to go to the 30th Grand Council Fine Arts Festival. My Lord, I've never seen so many young kids in my life. The place was absolutely chock full of young people, and they're from all over the north, from all the 12 bands in their communities. And they were dressed up and jingling and tapping and you name it. And of course, a bunch of chiefs were there and bringing greetings, and I was able to bring greetings today on behalf of the city. And I'm going to go back there on Wednesday, of course, to the Grand March again. And I think someone else will probably be doing the greetings. But it's a great festival, really is. It's worth going to see. Those young folks, they are real artists. Not only are they artists this way in drawing, but they've got the tapping and the jingling and doing all of those good things, and well-behaved young people, you know. And they're there with their chaperones and with all, and it was a fantastic afternoon to be with.
Yeah, and thank you for doing that. I was in attendance with them. I am doing the opening on Wednesday, so I split it today. But to see those young kids, and what I find amazing is whether they're young or older, the talent that we have in our region is just incredible. Right from the arts to singing to dancing to whatever your talent was. We just had a great event there, and it continues on all week. So you're going to see lots of busy places this week. If you're going to a restaurant, better go a little early because they're going to be full. If it isn't from the Fine Arts Festival, of course, it's going to be from the under 18. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you very much. And on that same note of full, this past weekend, I want to say thank you to the PA Thunder Basketball Club for hosting 36 teams of kids from under the age of 9 through to under 18. They and their families came and played some basketball. We got to showcase our school gyms again, the hotels, and our city amenities. Our restaurants were buzzing. I want to congratulate all the teams for their hard work and sportsmanship. To all the organizers, coaches, and families, thanks for your time volunteering and giving back to our community. Our kids are our most valuable resource, and their commitment to providing them opportunities to grow as athletes is fantastic. And those people and people like that continue in Prince Albert every weekend to fill our community, that showcase that we are the best place to raise a family and come and work.
Perfect. The Music Man, Councillor Dennis Abradnik.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just three quick things here. First, with the cleanup, community cleanup, I just want to let the residents of Crescent Heights know that we're doing it at the Crescent Heights rink this year. Our station will be there, and we do need help to help guide people as they bring in their disposables so that it goes in the right bins. I want to talk a little bit about the Esso Cup because I don't think the residents or everybody realizes what a significant event this is. It's the largest hockey tournament, not number-wise, but it's the biggest, most important, most prestigious hockey tournament of female U18 athletes in North America. We don't see this anywhere else at this level. It's the best female hockey in North America. These young ladies that are competing are going to be our future Olympic team. And so anybody that goes and watches these young ladies, you know that down the road they're going to beat the crap out of the U.S. In World Cup and in Olympic hockey. And so that's quite exciting. And if we think about it, you know, we haven't seen, we haven't had the ESSO Cup in Prince Albert, but we've had female midget hockey now for U18, female midget, it was called prior to that, for 17 years in Prince Albert. And when you think about the young ladies that have played at the Art Hauser Center, you know, goes back to, you know, Caitlin Willoughby, Jessica Vance, who went on to play, Brooke Hobson. I could go on and on and on about all the different, you know, Emily Clark out of Saskatoon, who is on the Canadian national team. Danny Stone, who, I mean, played professional, is now in Europe playing professional female hockey. These are all young athletes that started out playing. And I applaud Hockey Canada for bringing that tournament finally to Prince Albert and showcasing it. Because we actually led the province. I can say this with a lot of confidence when we talk about Donna Brooks and Nancy Hagen and Dragon, and people like that paved the way for women to play hockey and then to form female hockey leagues. This is what it's about. And as Councillor Lennox Zepp said, young ladies are seeing, kids in the audience, both boys and girls in the audience are seeing that women can play hockey, women can ref, women can lines, women can sing the national anthem, women can be the presenters, women, first responders that were there on the weekend. It was all women in their various lines of chosen fields. And that was a showcase. And that's what the ESSO Cup was. It's not only just a hockey competition, it's a celebration of culture, it's a celebration of what women can do. And so I applaud the organizing committee, which is a ton of people, ton of volunteers, and I encourage people to go watch. $15 a day, I think, for an adult, something like that. It's quite reasonable. Like you can't get that kind of entertainment at many other places. So it's a great event. Second, third thing, I just want to talk about the Senators' Cup. Again, a great tournament in Prince Albert. This is, again, the best Indigenous hockey that you'll see anywhere. And when I went to the games, not only is Cal Arkan, the announcer, entertaining, and oh my goodness, he is so good. But the hockey, the level of hockey, you have former NHL players, you have WHL players, you have, you know, I like every team. You know, you're watching them, and I remember when they played for, you know, Saskatoon Blazers. I remember when they played for the Mintos, and on and on and on. And so it was great weekend of hockey. I want to congratulate the Peter Ballantyne Cree Nation for being repeat champions, and that would be my acknowledgement today when we talk about calls to action. Is this was a showcase of the best Indigenous hockey in Western Canada. Teams from Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and then had some players that, like Austin Crosley, who's in BC, he played for, I can't remember, Onion Lake, I think, or something like that. I can't remember what team he played for, but I remember him as a Raider and came all the way from BC to play in this particular tournament. So once again, congratulations, Grand Chief Hardlot and the Prince Albert Grand Council and his committees that put this on. I applaud them for showcasing the best Indigenous hockey in Western Canada. And again, this shows people have a lot of confidence. I can't imagine how big this tournament will become when we eventually do get our big event center. The future's only looking positive for Prince Albert. with all of these events that we're hosting. So, thank you. And tonight, 20 minutes, Bears versus Quebec, not Quebec, oh yeah, Fraser Valley, Vancouver, yeah.
Okay, now just to add a little about the Senators Cup, because it's been getting so big and so popular that they were very pleased to see the new hotel because they were under pressure to move to Saskatoon because the Tuesday of that week, the tournament didn't start till Friday, but Tuesday of that week, we didn't have a hotel room left. And when people have to travel from Elk Ridge or the Harwood at Waskesiu or Shellbrook, that's quite a distance when you're in a tournament. So that's the exciting part too, that with our foresight of doing this project, it's going to not only bring bigger events here, but it's going to keep the ones that have grown here. So that's what excites me. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. We all had the opportunity to go to SUMA
Yes,
last week. It was a really good conference. Part of that conference was a discussion where all of the, well, not all, but certainly the City of Saskatoon Mayor Charlie Clark, the Mayor of Humboldt, the Mayor of Yorkton, they have a group, a working group that are discussing mental health, addictions, and homelessness in their communities. Believe it or not, it's not only in Prince Albert. So I am now part of that group to help try and strategize and find some new ideas on how we can help our community. And I think that's going to be important. But discussion on addictions and mental health was a large part of SUMA, large part from every community out there.
Every community.
And it's something that definitely needs to be talked about and needs to be addressed. And some of the discussion was, unfortunately, the provincial government's not listening at times. And some of the encouragement was, you know, the residents blame often the municipalities. And it was very clear that the province they deal with health. And addictions and mental health is a health issue. And part of the recommendations came out and it was encouraged that members of the public of every community write their local MLA letters with their concerns. And I think that's important to get out. Write our MLAs, show your concerns. If you have a concern that our hospital, for example, is currently an overflow as a homeless shelter, write those concerns. Write that isn't the place that we should be housing homeless people. Write the fact that we need additional beds in our community right here so we don't have the people that need the help tying up valuable hospital beds. It's important, and I do encourage all of the public to write those letters. Let's get some attention going for our city that we need that help, not 2 years from now. We need the help right now. Pay attention to Prince Albert because it's important. We have good people that live in our city. All the people that require help, they deserve that help as well. So that was part of the SUMA. Another part of the SUMA convention was the keynote speaker, Cody Desmarais.
Yes.
Local person, Cody Desmarais, and he just told an amazing story of how he's recovered and moved his life forward. And anybody that has an opportunity to bring him in to speak, I would highly recommend that. And part of his presentation was giving a huge shout out to one of our colleagues, Councillor Don Kilmer, for helping move his life in a positive direction. Just shows the type of person that Councillor Kilmer really is. And no surprise to any of us, but it really was great that he threw out her name and thanked her for helping move his life forward. So thank you. And that's everything. Thank you.
Councillor Cody.
Your worship, you know something that all five of us failed to say
I'm not up yet, but you go ahead and then I'll follow up.
is the fact that we were all at the Doctors Gala. There was Councillor Kilmer, there was the mayor, there was Councillor Miller, there was Councillor Head and myself, and we had a bang-up time, I must say. Fantastic to see all of the folks there and all of those doctors. It's fantastic. And what was, I think, culminated the night was the fact that Dr. Shikani was the doctor of the night, or got the award of the evening. Dr. Shikani, of course, is all we all know, is our public health officer, who did an awful pile of good in saving our hides at times here when we didn't have to go explain things, when he could explain them better than we did during COVID times. So we certainly want to say congratulations, Dr. Shikani, and certainly the organization who put this on. Thank you.
And I just want to touch, because you've covered almost everything, that the Doctors Gala was incredible. You know, it's not very often that our ladies and our companions get to dress up, you know, to go to events like this, and they shone. It was a really good event, and the sharing, and of course to hear what the doctor, where he came from, the challenges that he had in his life to get here, you know, and so that was incredible. I just want to give a shout out to SUMA. I've been to quite a few of their conferences, and I do believe this year was one of their best. But I think that most thing that I was proud of, and we touched on it, is when we went to the Bear Pit, the first question accused the government of causing the homeless problem. And I was so pleased to see those 1,000 delegates cheer. They sent such a cheer. If you looked at the government, they worried the government. Because now it's just not us or Saskatoon yelling about our addictions and our problem. It was the whole province. And I think that was the most impressive moment that I had in the conference, that all 1,000 of us delegates stood united when it come telling the government that we have to deal with this homeless situation and addictions and beds. And so hopefully it sunk in and we went ahead. Okay, I'm going to move on to number 14 now, inquiries. Love it. Number 15, inquiry responses. And there is none. Look at that. Notice of motions? Oh, do you have one? Okay. And I've even got my glasses on so I don't miss a word. Notice of motion from Mayor Greg Dion, May 24th, 1923, that the City of Prince Albert work towards net zero emissions by 2030 through its actions such as tree planting and employing technology to help capture carbon before it is released to the air. That'll be my motion. I'll discuss it at the next meeting. The Zamboni put me over the top. Okay, no more on that. Okay, I'll move on to motions. 17.1 motion from Dennis Obrotnik, listing the grants for 2022. Councillor Obrotnik.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a motion that can administration provide a report outlining all grants in 2022 to the city for projects including money received from provincial, federal governments, businesses, corporations, and individuals. And if I have a seconder, I'll comment.
Councillor Gilmer.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Obrotnik.
Thank you. Just a quick comment. Basically, my intent here is just again to show the public where we get our money from. That we have different levels of government, businesses, and corporations that are showing confidence in our community by investing and helping the city move forward with a lot of the projects that we have. And I think it'll be surprising for the residents to see that, you know, that governments can work together and do work together. And we do create a lot of partnerships in accomplishing all the great things that are happening in Prince Albert. And this is my little form of bragging about Prince Albert, that we're doing really good and we have a lot of confidence. So that's why I'm moving the motion.
Thank you. And you've got a seconder, so I'll prompt the question. The question is now open. Question's now open. I'm still missing one. We're going to find out right now because I'm just closing it. Carried. Tony. That's your statement? Okay, there's no public forum. Counselor Kilmer? Second? Counselor Zepp? I'll prompt the question quickly. And I'd like to remind everyone in 10 minutes, Fraser, British Columbia is taking on Saskatchewan at the Art Hauser Center. The Bears. Oh yeah, there's other Saskatchewan teams. No? So we're in there. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Be safe. Great meeting.